Hey, good people, how you doing? David Taub here, co-creator of nextlevelguitar.com. Hope all is going well, and I hope your guitar and musical journeys are going famously. Thank you for joining us today, and today I have a lesson on some easy ways that you can start sounding melodic and really start tying your soloing together. If you're having a problem, sounding the same, playing all the same licks, or maybe your solos just don't sound right. Maybe they sound too much like scales, or maybe they sound like kind of like a lot of disjointed things you're trying to throw together. Some easy techniques, which we're going to play over a jam track, that's really going to help you kind of turn the light bulb on for your soloing. If you have a second, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to the channel really helps us to keep the content coming. Please share the video if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Let us know, what helped you in your soloing journey. Let us know what video lessons you'd like to see coming up or what gear you'd like to see review. As well, if you have a question, we do regular FAQ video sessions. Leave your question below, or as always, you can email me your question if you're more comfortable that way, and you can email it to me at nextlevelguitar@yahoo.com. A few of the things that I see a lot, there's way too much playing. You're trying to cram way too much stuff in. So the first thing I tell everyone to do is back off a little bit. Nobody likes the person that talks too much. You really want to slow down. The other thing is, you really want to practice over a very slow jam track, like I was using in this example. Just a couple of chords. Remember, it's all about the chords. The chords dictate the full roadmap to your soloing and improvisation. The key is only a part of it. Just a couple of chords, simple chords. For instance, in this jam track that we're using today, it's in the key of D minor. It's just a simple 2-chord track because remember, the more stuff going on in that track, it's harder to weave a solo in through all that stuff, right? So like with my jam tracks, I try to make them wide open, and I build them and produce them for instructional purposes to make it easy for the student. Remember, you want to make it easier for yourself, not harder. And the jam track that I'm using today is basically just a simple 2-chord change, and it goes to a 3rd chord the last time through on the progression, and that's important. I'll explain that in a second. But basically, it's just I'm hammering onto a D minor chord, and then B flat major. D, Now it does that 3 times, but the last time goes to C for that resolution. Listen to the track and you'll hear that. And that's important because we're targeting certain notes over certain chords, right? And for this lesson too, we're just going to use a basic natural minor scale to get you going. Now I know a lot of you are probably using minor pentatonic, and that's fine. We're in the key of D minor, right? So you could use D minor pentatonic and blues. But you could also use D natural minor scales or D Aeolian mode, D pure minor. And that gives us some different things than pentatonic. One's not necessarily better than the other, just different sounds, and that's what you want. You want different sounds when you're starting your soloing, or else soon everything will start sounding the same. You got to throw some different things in there, and you got to really work the notes, right? So what this natural minor scale gives you is half steps. Right? So you get a couple of half steps. There's 2 notes difference between minor pentatonic and natural minor. Those 2 notes are huge, and we're really going to exploit that. So I'll tell you what, let's keep it really simple. Let's just use this D natural minor scale off the 5th string root. So find your D note, 5th fret on the A string, and you're going to play this shape. Root notes are D, 5th fret A string, 7th fret G string, and you have another D up here, 10th fret E string. One thing when you're soloing is try to find a lick you like and then kind of repeat it, but vary it a little bit. And then we'll start getting some melodic ideas. It will start kind of, springboarding you into thinking of, okay, let's try some different notes and kind of attach it to the end or change the beginning a little bit, right? Because the whole thing is we have to take these notes and do musically interesting things with them through being expressive, right? Through our bending, through our string bending, through slides, through hammer-ons, through pull-offs, vibrato. These are all things that you have to practice individually to really get comfortable with them. So remember, it's all about the sounds, right? And we want to be melodic, and we want to also, I want to start the solo off slower, and maybe a little quieter. So what I'm doing here, and again, this will help you to create different sounds, is I'm manipulating the volume knob. I got the volume way down in the beginning of the solo, and then as it builds, I start cranking it up. I also change pickups. Right now I'm on the neck pickup. Later in the solo, I go to the bridge pickup, and then I switch back to the neck pickup, right? Again, this is giving me different sounds, and that's what you want in your solo. Remember, we don't want it to sound the same all the way through or too stiff like scale. Intro lick just to start off is like holding a nice bend. I did something like this. Right? Now I have the delay off just for instructional purposes, but that volume thing, like if I crank the volume, now it's all the way up. Listen. Right? Very different dynamic. I want it a little quieter. Okay? I'm sliding into that 7th fret on the D string. Now what I'm doing there is I'm doing a double bend. I'm bending the root note D at the 7th fret of the G. Let it down, bending it down, bending it again. Let it down, bend it again. Hold it, let it down in vibrato. That's one note, and I'm doing like 4 different things with it. Bending, releasing, bending it up again, holding it, letting it down, vibrato. One note, leaving lots and lots of space. These are very subtle things, but the nuances is what you want to put into your playing, and that's what gives it all these different sounds. I'm muting the strings. Little palm muting by resting the palm of my hand on the strings. Then I let it ring fully. Bring it down, vibrato. And then I slide out. I'm sliding out again, creating different sounds, more interest, right? Now, remember that scale I showed you. There's that next lick. I'm doing a pull off from the 6th to the 5th fret, getting that beautiful half step in there. Then, instead of going from 5 to 7 in just 2 notes, I slide and vibrato. That's give us a different sound than this. And you want that. See, we're exploiting the notes. We're using slides, bends, pull-offs already. And we're just like 4 notes into the solo. Again, I slide out, leave space. But then the next lick, I do this. Similar motif where I'm going half steps again. But then I slide up to this G note on the 8th fret of the B string. So the whole thing so far. I go back again. Okay, that's a really important lick right there because it's the last time in the progression and it's going to that C chord. Remember I told you that's important because guess what? I'm ending on that C note. Because that really is powerful over the C chord. See, I'm targeting certain notes within the chord. The real strong notes, the root, the flat third if it's minor, the major third if it's major, the 5th, the flat 7th. What this does is it builds melody and it accents your notes. So you don't always have to resolve to the D, the root note. Depending on the chord, here I want to resolve to the C. Is I'm just taking very few notes. You know, we have the F, we have our E, we have our D, and we end on the C. And I'm doing these musically interesting things, right? You know, and if you need some other jam tracks that sound really good, I'll send you my jam track coach. 6 killer sounding tracks, but I also pair that with 2 ebooks where I go over the scales that you could try. I go over the chords in the track. It's often left out, right? What works and why, some things to try to get you started. 6 tracks, 2 ebooks. Send it to you for free. It's a great practice tool. Just click on that link below. Later in the solo, I'm doing different things with those same notes. Like for instance, I'm taking, when the solo builds up, I'll do a lick like, just repeatedly bend that note. I'm bending my E to the F, half step. It's the other thing a lot of students I find when they send me in their samples, their string bending is out of pitch. You're either bending it too flat or too sharp. Remember, when you're bending a note, you're bending up to a certain pitch, up to a target note, right? And you don't want to overbend that. When you don't want to underbend it, sound flat. So what you want to do is practice those bends, right? Check it, right? String bending is so important, but so often we don't spend enough time. Do 5-7 minutes a day just on your string bends, practicing them. Double bends. Such an expressive thing. Again, here's another lick. Another variation where I'm doing that half step, then a half step bend, half step pull up. I'm bending it up and letting it down. Simple licks that sound so good that you could build off of when using this scale. The great thing about this scale is you have the same fingering 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4 on adjacent strings. You have that same fingering on the high E and the B. So everything you're doing on that B, you could do on the high E. Right? Slide it up vibrato onto that C, especially over the C chord. Another lick I like with the string bend is bending from this 8th to the 10th fret, and that's bending up to our A note. So after you do the bend, then what I do is I do a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs. That's one pick. So I'm picking the 5th fret, hammer 6, hammer 8, pull 6, pull 5. Practice that. One pick. Right? Then I go to the 5th fret, hit it twice, and slide to my root note D, 7th fret. That's a great lick. But this bend, you could do so much. You could bend it twice, vibrato it while it's up top, let it down, then bring it over. I want to stop there because I've given you a lot of licks that you could start to combine, that you could start working these half steps all within this one position of natural minor. We're in the key of D minor. Lay those 2 chords down and go into the C the last time, 3 chords, and just get lost in the track. Have fun with it. If you want more jam tracks that sound really good, and I explain in the ebooks, what to play over them, what works, why, what to try, click on that link, subscribe to the channel. Really helps us. Please share, like the video, leave your comments and questions below or email them to us. I'm David Taub, co-creator of Next Level Guitar. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. I'll do some more lessons. We'll start moving around the neck a little bit. We'll throw in some minor pentatonic licks too, right? Have some fun with that. Enjoy these guitars. Have fun with them. You'll get it. Stay positive. And remember, your guitar playing is an evolution. Rock on.